Hello, it's Jimmy. I retired at age 44, but that doesn't mean that I started taking Social Security checks. A lot of times people assume that retirement means you're at that age where you can start collecting your Social Security checks and, picking out your Medicare and all that fun jazz. Well, at age 44, I'm quite a ways away from getting those benefits. However, that doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about that now. I've built my retirement needs around not having any Social Security, just in case. The numbers do show that there will be some at that nominal age of 65 for me, or maybe a bit later if I don't want to pick it at 65. But I still save as if there will be no Social Security around for me. Hopefully that means that I'll have a little bit of that money coming in, even if it's at a reduced amount, and that can just be gravy because my investments should take care of everything that I anticipate. However, it's still good to know that that's there and kind of plan for what that might be, and assume that it will be there, just so that the calculations that I'm doing now aren't too absurd. I mean, always something could happen. The stock market goes belly up, and it'd be nice to know that if Social Security is still around, I'll at least be getting a little bit of something. But just because I don't depend on it doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to it. Of course, if you spend any time watching some of these videos, you know that I like playing around with the numbers. Well, Social Security has actually one of the better websites out there as far as a government website goes for determining what your Social Security amount might be. They take all of the numbers for the years that you've worked, all the reported income, and they kind of come up with a formula. There are a few calculators that you can use on the Social Security site. One is fairly complex, but it has a lot more ability to tweak. And there is one that's much simpler, but you do have to use that with a little bit of caution because it will assume that whatever you're making today, or last year, from whenever you look at it, essentially is what you will be making in the future. Well, of course, the last year that I worked was 2024. So going off of those numbers, it assumed I'd be staying at that level, but of course I didn't. One of the other interesting calculations that I need to be aware of is that when it determines what your final benefit will be, it's taking the top 35 years of earned income. So I started working, paying into the system when I was 14 years old. And I'm not quite at 35 years of working history, and I don't really want that calculation to include years with zeros. That would bring the averages down. So the part-time job that I have has been great because those would otherwise be 0 years for income, and that would bring the averages down. Now, of course, everybody gets excited about getting a check from Social Security. Well, it's direct deposit now. There are some benefits other than the monthly cash check that people get when they start taking Social Security. They do snip a little bit out for, I believe, some Medicare. I can't really tell you how taxes are worked in that, but that's not all Social Security is. It does supply you with some survivor benefits should you pass away, and your spouse is entitled to some money. If you have minor children, they're entitled to some money. And the big part is disability. If you are completely and totally disabled and unable to work, there may be a threshold there. Social Security will pick up part of the tab. And the nice thing is you don't have to wait until you're 65 or even 62. Once you have enough quarters of working where you have an earned income, then you accumulate access to those benefits should you need them. I hope you don't, but it's nice to know that they're there. Now, I'm not going to really bore you with the details on how to go and check your information on Social Security. You're going to just have to look that up yourself. And I can go in anytime I want and check what my benefits are and make sure that my earnings are being reported correctly. If you're paying taxes, you somehow snatch that information off of your 1040 and put it in there. So it's a good thing if you are making money that you're reporting that income, because that will count towards your credits. So I'm in a pretty decent position for retiring early because I really only have 5 more years that I need to work if I want to make sure I don't have any years of zero for the calculation. That's great. I can probably swing that. But if you're like some 22-year-old crypto bro and you think, well, this is the end of it, I got all the money I need because I'm full up on Bitcoin or Snoop coin or whatever the hell coin is the coin du jour, and things don't work out for some reason with the fake money world, you might be screwed when it comes time to retire and you don't have any money. Another interesting thing is it's based on the Social Security benefit is based on earned income, which does not count money from things like royalties, crypto trading. Rent is another one. You just have to go look it up. Just like how I had to make the pension decision thinking about how I would feel in the future, kind of had to do that with the Social Security, at least as far as deciding how much of that I might rely on for my future needs. Now, like I said, I just plan for many years, actually, since I opened my first Roth IRA, that there won't be any Social Security. And many years ago, it was a little bit more iffy. They kind of use it as a political football right now. So who knows? I doubt that it's going to go away. However, benefits may be trimmed a little bit by the time I get to it. So in the interim, while I'm waiting for the politicians to pull their head out of the sand, I'm just going to continue on as if it's not going to exist. And, should it be around? Great. That's gravy. That's just more strippers and coke. So as it stands, the way I have my retirement, like full retirement planned out, I don't need the Social Security. At 65, I'm going to have to go in and get the Medicare regardless. So that's fine. But knowing that I don't really need the money that's coming from Social Security, I'm not going to be one of those penny pincher old folks that whines about, I'm living on a fixed income. Yeah, mine might be fixed, but it might be $12,000 a month. Of course, by the time I get to 65, that may not even buy me a Little Caesars pizza. But whatever, I won't need Social Security to pay for my Little Caesars if that's the case. Well, anyway, that's my little rant on Social Security, I guess. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a great day.